Bonjour et bienvenue sur Personal Branding France TV. Je suis ravie de vous retrouver pour ce nouvel épisode. Pour ceux qui ne me connaissent pas encore, je suis Lola Cuvelier, cofondatrice de Personal Branding France. Personal Branding France, c'est le site officiel des professionnels du personal branding francophone. Depuis 2006, avec ma mère, Béatrice Cuvelier, nous avons à cœur de développer le personal branding sur le marché francophone et de lui rendre ses lettres de noblesse. Car pour nous, le personal branding est plus qu'un processus, c'est une vraie philosophie de vie. Nous avons formé des centaines de personnes et nous avons accompagné des milliers de marques personnelles dans leur développement. Alors aujourd'hui, pour aller plus loin, nous avons décidé de créer notre propre web TV afin de vous donner une vision plus globale de ce que c'est que le personal branding et de vous présenter des personnes qui incarnent ce processus. Trêve de bavardage, accueillons notre invitée du jour. Elle s'appelle Charlotte, elle nous vient de Suède, de Stockholm plus précisément, et c'est une professionnelle du personal branding et de LinkedIn. Elle va nous donner des pépites pour développer notre présence sur le web en particulier. Alors juste pour information, cette interview elle sera en anglais, donc si vous ne comprenez pas l'anglais, ça sera un petit peu compliqué. Passez à l'interview suivante. Alors accueillons Charlotte comme il se doit. So happy to have you in interview. Can you speak about you, because I have an audience who don't know you?
Exactly. Yeah. Well, my name is Charlotte Hagard, or Hagard, as we say in Sweden. I'm based in Stockholm, Sweden, but I'm a career, personal branding, and LinkedIn expert and entrepreneur. I've run companies for many years. I'm the pioneer in the career industry in Sweden. I started the first career development company back in the beginning of the 90s, actually. I'm also an author. I've written 9 books and I speak for companies and entrepreneurs in Sweden and around the world. So that's what I do. I work with personal branding and employer branding every day in one way or another.
Okay, great. And that we are in personal branding France TV. So
Yeah.
when you discovered the personal branding, and what's changed in your life?
Okay, yeah. I mean, the terminology of personal branding is, I mean, sort of more current way of speaking. I used to call it personal marketing. And that's what I've been doing for many years. You know, I started off my career in an international company, Rank Xerox, I was living in Australia back in the days. And I realized, you know, that I was I was more interested in working with people instead of, you know, large corporations like that. And I came back to Sweden and I started as a recruiter, and I realized how I was working in the IT industry, and I was reading CV after CV after application letter, one more boring than the other. And I was thinking, God, people really have problems in marketing themselves or packaging themselves. You know, they're speaking about themselves in a way that is really boring, and I'm sure they're not boring at all. But when it comes to writing about themselves, and then when I met them in interviews, I realized that, you know, this person really doesn't have a clue about, you know, what should they communicate about themselves, how should they, you know, really position themselves to be the most attractive candidate. So that's how my journey started. And then I started the first career company here in Sweden, and we work with thousands of people, and almost everyone had the same problem, which was, you know, finding out what part of me should I lift up, what should I tone down, the personal marketing. So I've specialized in this, helping people to really stand out, find what's standing out, their strengths, etc., for many years. And then I wrote my first book back in 99, actually, and in 1999, it seems like a long time now. And that book is called the CV book, The Art of Marketing Your Competence. And that book has sold over 100,000 copies because people have a problem with this. And then, you know, I've written a number of other books on sort of the same topic, but the personal branding word terminology, I used to go to a lot of conferences in the United States, and this was sort of coming there. And then when um, Fast Company was, writing this article about from Tom Peters about brand you back in, back in the days, that was the first time I heard the terminology. And then I guess, I was a personal branding expert as well, because that terminology grew. But it has taken a lot of time for people to understand what this is. Today, a lot of people talk about the personal branding. And then I met William Aruda at one conference, and then I took his course, and then I realized, okay, this is what I've been doing, but I better change my own terminology then. So, yeah. So that's my story, actually, around personal
Thank you very
branding.
much. So you speak about self-marketing, personal marketing, and personal branding. What's the difference for you between the
Yeah, well, to me, personal marketing is really maybe more something that you use. Well, you really have a strategy to market yourself, like when you look for a job, or you want to sell something, or sell yourself, of course. But it's more of having a strategy of really a marketing strategy. Personal branding, to me, I mean, they're very similar, these two words. But if I look at some of the changes or the differences, I'd say that personal branding is more, personal branding for me comes from the inside out. It's not just having a strategy, I'm going to, try to sell myself. It's more like, who am I? What is, what are the things that I want to communicate to the world? And it involves, more of actually what's on the inside, and how you look on the outside, how you behave, how you, approach life and other people and your business and everything. So for me, personal branding is more of a wider wider term, and it's also about how other people perceive you. What other people say about you. And that is sort of a new concept for a lot of people. Okay, so I got to have an idea about what other people say, yeah? Or at least what you would like them to say. And then you create a strategy on how to create this impression on people. I don't know if I was clear or not, but that's my view on it. Yeah.
It is. And for you, what's the characteristic of your brand?
On my brand,
Yeah.
I think my characteristics are knowledge. That I worked for a very long time, and I have a lot of knowledge, and I think that's one of the reasons why people come to me, because they know that I've a lot of experience and knowledge. I think also inspiration, because I always try to help people to see possibilities, and that's inspiring for people. And I guess, I actually try to be, I changed my brand to be more funny, to use humor more, because the world and people are there's a lot of serious stuff going out there. But it's about developing a mindset where you actually can live your life and try to move on in this world with more lightness and happiness, actually.
Great.
That's what I think.
And you're an expert from LinkedIn?
Yeah, that's LinkedIn has been an area where I have focused very much over the last 7 years. And if you'd like, I can tell you how that all came about, because it was sort of random that I became a LinkedIn expert. Would you like me to share that?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, so I have been on LinkedIn since 2007, because I used to go to school in the United States. I worked in Australia. So I thought, oh, LinkedIn is good because I can connect all my international friends. And I didn't pay much, that much attention. Of course, I put up a profile. And back in the days then, LinkedIn was more for job seekers, or considered it being more of a job seeker site. But then all of a sudden in 2013, I was contacted by an American journalist who writes for Wall Street Journal and BBC. And she wanted to interview me about the future of CVs and resumes in this digital world that was developing. And I was very intrigued. I had to ask her, you know, how did you find me? You live in the States, I live in Sweden. And she said, you know, that was very simple because I just put in CV plus expert in the search field of LinkedIn, and your profile came up at the top of 350 million profiles. So I decided to contact you. And I just went, oh my God, what, you know, what else am I missing? I'm not paying attention. You know, if I can be published in Wall Street Journal with even having thought about that idea, I've been published a lot in Sweden, but what else could I, you know, what else could happen? So I decided to become a LinkedIn expert and learn everything about the platform. So I wrote a book, and the book took off, boom, and then I wrote another book about LinkedIn, and since then that's the only thing people want me to speak about. So I've been around, you know, in different countries speaking, and this is what I do very much. But to me, it's about personal branding or employer branding or corporate branding, and you can use LinkedIn as a platform. It's free and it's available, and it has all these different features. But if you're really serious about your branding, you need also to work with other things, other platforms, Instagram or whatever, but not only in social media. But now it so happens that LinkedIn has become my area of expertise then.
What you can say to our audience who want to develop their personal brands on LinkedIn?
Okay, well, there's a lot to say. First of all, on LinkedIn, you need to be on LinkedIn. You know, it's not okay just to put up, you know, that you put up a profile 5 years ago and then you hardly have it, you know, you've hardly done anything since then. So building your brand actually requires, I have six success strategies for LinkedIn. What you need to, you know, work on your profile, your network, and your activity. And you need to have an idea about, number one, what is your goal with being on LinkedIn? So say that you just want to have a nice digital CV or the digital calling card. So when people actually come to look you up, you look okay. A lot of people don't look okay there, but say that's your goal. Or maybe you want to be contacted by potential clients, or that you want to get a job. So you need to really have an idea about what is your goal, because everything else on LinkedIn sort of falls into place depending on what your goal is. So you have a different goal if you want to market yourself because you hate your job and you want a career change than if you want to look, you know, attract journalists because you want to build a brand as an expert. So you need, that's why you need to have the goal. Then you need, as number two, I really understand what is who's my target group, who's my ideal visitor to my profile. Most people don't think about that. But you can't have 700 million people come to your profile. You need to put the right search words and all that. So that's why those two questions are really important. Number three strategy is, what is the story you're going to tell? So you need to do all this before you start updating your profile. What is the story? What things are you actually going to tell that makes you attractive to your ideal visitor? And then you need to know, you know, what are the search words? When people are going to look for someone like me, what are the search words they use? And LinkedIn is a whole search database with 45,000 competencies, and you need to be able to be found by the algorithms on LinkedIn. You need to use the right keywords, search words, keywords. So that's really important too. And then of course you need to be there. As I said, log in, be there a little while every day. Make sure you have an updated profile. You know, you have a good looking professional photo, a great background photo, a good headline that immediately tells people who you are as a professional person, a good summary, you know, that sort of summarizes who you are in a quick bit, because most people look at you through your phone and they don't have energy to look through everything. So you need to make sure that the first impression, bam, is really good and relevant. And I mean, I can give so many tips, but okay. So and then every day you go in and you invite people that you met or that you want to be connected to. You reply to other people's requests and you start sending messages. And then after a while you start looking at, you know, what people in your network is posting, liking, sharing, making some messages, and then you can start sharing your own stuff. But for most people, it's like, oh my God, where do I start? And it's okay just to have a profile as a start. And then, you know, you can start doing those other things.
Great. Because I see some people who just have profile and to tell me that I don't know what I can post on LinkedIn because it's a little bit professional, not all of lifestyle, and they don't know what they can post on LinkedIn.
Okay, so what they can post,
develop their personal brand
on what you can post. Okay. For example, always write about what you know. Don't try to write about things you don't know. You can have two strategies if you feel unsure about what to write. One thing is that you write that you write things yourself. Another strategy is that you share other people's content within one topic. So you have to decide. So you, for example, Personal Branding France, you could write, I don't know, what is the personal branding thing going on in France? There is maybe there are some laws, maybe there are some things, maybe there are some people that have really been successful, and you can start building a brand as the expert in France, and then other French speaking areas. And I mean, so everyone has to work out what is an area that I know something about that I could share things around. And actually LinkedIn has over 700 million people, but only 2% share. So there's a voice, there's room for everyone. But I think write about what you know. If you feel unsure, start looking up people who already know your, things in your area, who have gone further than you, and see what they are posting. And if you are unsure, you look in the news, look in industry material, and get inspiration, and start doing something.
Great.
And if you're employed looking at this, it's good to check with your, if there is a information or marketing department or HR or whatever, if there are any specific policies around what I can share as an employee on social media. Because once on LinkedIn you start sharing, people don't really know if it's you, if it's me, Charlotte, or it's my company's social branding group, so little tips like that.
Great. Thank you for all informations. I changed the subject.
Yeah.
What's the market of personal branding in Swedish? Do you see some other expert or some other people who be certified on personal branding?
Well, because I come from the career area, there's a lot of people here that has working as job coaches or career coaches, and they need to help people with marketing, etc. But I don't see them as personal branding experts. That's a different expertise. There are some LinkedIn experts. There are some people who are work a lot with how to work on the different platforms like Facebook and Instagram. But it seems that people who are talking about personal branding today very much focus on what you need to look like on the different platforms. But social branding or personal branding is a lot more to me than that, instead of, but of course you should use social media as a tool, but then you also need, sooner or later you're going to meet people in real life, and you have to, you can't look like your fantastic Instagram spacey photo, or maybe you could, but you have to think about that your brand works online and offline. So that's what I'm saying, that the people who mostly talking about personal branding are people who work in social media.
Okay, great. And the Swedish public is okay with the personal branding, or it's a little bit fast to develop?
Yeah, I think it's like everything else. I mean, the word career here has been really, it's like people, career. I don't know if that's a good word. I don't have a career, because they think it's just going upwards. It's the same with personal branding. A lot of people think, oh, what is that? I don't have, I'm just me. I don't have a personal brand. So it's more still, an educational thing. You need to train people in this mindset that you have a personal brand. So I think the terminology, the term personal branding is becoming more accepted, but I'm sure that a lot of people are like, what is it really? What does it mean? And how do I do it?
Okay, great. Because I when I speak with Amalia from Romania, she tell me that personal branding, it's a little bit complicated, because Romania, it's an old communist country, so for them it's a little bit crazy to show them on the web, or to show them only to be visible.
I understand. I mean, we have a background also of being a bit shy, talking about ourselves and all that. So and it's I think it's also a generation thing. The people born in the 90s probably don't have the problem the people have born in the 40s or 50s. So but today, with COVID and so many people being laid off, people have to sort of step up and start, working more with how they are going to market themselves then.
Okay. And you speak about COVID. What's the market of what's the situation in Switzerland?
In Sweden with COVID? Well, we've had, Sweden is pretty well known by now because we've had a very open policy. We didn't shut down. We had a lot of restrictions, and because people here are used to follow recommendations by our public authorities, people actually stayed home and kept a distance and all that. But the problem was that the COVID actually got into our old people's homes. So there were a lot of people who, didn't make it. But it's been open pretty much, although people have, restrained from going places and going out to eat and all that. So there's been a big clash, or a big down. Yeah. With everything, restaurants, shops, the travel industry, all that, speaking, conferences, events, all that. But I think, there's a lot of companies now that still have to lay off people, etc. But I mean, some industries go really, really well in these times, life science and all that, and other companies go down. So it's just been happening very, very fast. But we're moving forward. People are going out to restaurants, and we'll see what happens now, if there is a second wave or whatever. no one knows that. And I mean, in France, you've had lockdowns and stuff, haven't you?
In France, it's very complicated because we have a very big restriction in winter. No, in spring.
Yeah.
But now we don't know the situation. We don't know if we can move or not. It's very hard to make projects and to develop. I hope that it will be better, but I don't know exactly what the government make.
No, I know. So. But you know, that's why the topic that we talk about, this is a perfect time to start building your personal brand, because everyone's either, you know, on their computer or on their phone. And if you have something good to say, you know, you can say it now, because the opportunity of actually getting attraction, like, wow, what is this? It's much greater now than when people are out and about doing things. Yeah. So timing is good.
Yeah. I think that it's the perfect timing to develop their personal branding and to develop their own personal branding, because to me, personal branding, it's not only for the career or for the job, it's all our life, because in French speaking countries we have specialists, we have strategists who are specialists of couples and relationship. We have career, but we have for orientation, younger orientation, it's a very large process. So yeah, personal brand is not only your job, it's very all your life.
Yeah, and I mean, look at all the dating sites. I mean, Tinder and all those, you know, Match.com and whatever. I mean, that's an area where people have to up their game when it comes to personal branding. You know, they upload a good photo and then you see this old, you know, whatever that comes around. And so I think, as you say, personal branding is about how you act, how your mindset, how you treat other people. It's really, and it's a lot about your personal and your professional reputation, what other people say about you.
And I meet my boyfriend, my fiancé on adaptedman.com, and I see that personal brands of the people are not very good, because I saw the picture, I saw the profile, I said, okay, oh my goodness, where I am. And okay, I just meet my fiancé, so it's okay. But I said, oh my goodness, there is lots of jobs. And just before the COVID, I said, okay, after the COVID, there is three situations: separations of couples, career transition, and babies. But babies, I can't make anything. But for the two other one, personal branding, it's good for that.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
That's the time for develop personal branding.
But how are you thinking about why couples need personal branding?
To search the good one people.
Oh, okay.
And or to be okay with their couples, because I see with my fiancé, we are very different. He's a viticulture, wine culture.
Yeah.
And I am a consultant and a geek. We develop them. Some expert
geek.
Yeah. I love my computer.
Yeah.
I work on my office, and you work on outside. We have I am from the north of France. He is from south of France. We south of France, but we have different culture, because France, it's very large country.
It's pretty amazing that the two of you
Yeah,
matched.
yeah. And we have not the same accents. So
Okay.
sometimes that he tells me some words. Sorry, can you speak French, please?
Wow. Wow.
That's
Yeah, well, that's interesting. So, wow. Yeah.
yeah,
And the thing is, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
no, tell me.
No, I'm thinking, people think, okay, it's just enough to maybe, some people might think that it's enough just to develop your personal brand when you look for a job or you look for a new partner.
Yeah.
But that's not true, because you need to keep your personal brand and keep working on it once you have a job, so you can keep your job and be, learn how to be successful in your job. And you also need to keep your good standard and brand in a relationship, so you can keep your relationship and make it grow. So
Yeah.
so that's why it's really important that you have an idea about this.
Yeah. But
Get to know yourself better.
Yeah, and I think it's very important to know our personal brand and the personal brand of the other people to live good with them. But
yeah,
an example, I work with my mom.
Yeah.
We lived some years together, just together, and for work together, it's very easy for us because I know her personal brand and she know my personal brand. And for us, it's not a process personal branding, it's a life philosophy, because I know their talents, their strengths,
Yeah.
and she know my strengths. And when we work together, we make our strengths for benefits of our clients.
Yeah.
And it's very good to know exactly what the strengths of our collaborator, of our partner in the job and in the life, to be happy in their life.
I think that's a very good point you're making, because now I'm thinking, it doesn't just have to be you developing your personal brand. If you have a good partner, as you say, who know your strengths and talents, etc., that partner or workmate or colleague or whatever can really help you to focus on the things that are important. Help you keep your focus, but also help you focus on your strength instead. Like if Lola, I would say, Lola, I think you should just quit this work trying to get this budget, or blah blah blah. That's not your brand. You should really be the TV host. You should really la la la. So I can, as your partner, then help you to focus on the right things, so you grow your brand instead of keeping quiet or telling you, why do you do this, criticize you. So I think that's another aspect of the personal branding, that we can help each other to grow.
That's it.
Yeah, that's good. That was a good angle.
So we have some strategies to develop that part of personal branding in French-speaking countries, and I think that there is lots of people around the world, but I not meet them. I just meet some people who work with corporate branding and solopreneur branding. And career, but not I never interview people about these subjects, but maybe one day.
Yeah, maybe one day. I know. I think it's different, or the same thing gets different names, right? So if you're in a company, I think it's and this is a new concept, I think, but if you're in a company, if you're an employee, you rely on getting help from your manager, right? Your leader. And the job of the leader is to develop you, your strengths, your potential, as well, helping you to develop your potential. It would be very interesting to find a company that is forward thinking thinking that me as a leader, my job is to help to develop my employees' personal brand.
Mm.
So maybe that's a topic you could try to find someone, because because I mean, it has to be that way, because it's hard just to develop your own brand, especially if you are an employee, because you have to think about all the time, when am I my company? When am I myself? But I'm saying, because I do a lot of work with communications and marketing departments and HR departments, and especially the people in the PR marketing area, they are aware that, and that's because I do a lot of LinkedIn work with these companies and organizations. They are trying to get engagement from the employees on LinkedIn. So they're actually, and this is a new thing that has come over the last couple of years, that companies actually think it's good that their employees are sharing. They want their employees to have a good profile. So I've been in, numerous organizations helping, the management team look good with their profile. So they have, a common theme, background photo, all that stuff. And then moving on to actually clearing up and, upping the game and the profiles of their employees. So that's actually happening now. And then personal branding in a company becomes part of the employer branding. So I'm saying that employer branding has actually become employee branding and manager branding. So, and then it's okay within a company because they are supporting you, and LinkedIn is sort of moving this forward faster because on the platform it's okay, because you don't, a company doesn't want their employees to look like idiots. They want them to look good, which means that when the companies support their employees and bring in someone like me or whatever, to help out with this, everyone is growing their personal brand a little bit, which is really great. And once they start sharing maybe things that the company has shared on their personal profile, or start sharing their, on their own, the company has now, helped you to develop your personal brand even more. So that is an interesting thing that is happening in the world now.
Great. Do you speak about employee branding? Can you tell me more about that?
Employer branding.
Yeah.
Well, employer branding is when a company is trying to communicate and build a brand that makes them attractive, to attract new talents and also to keep the people they have there. So today, a lot of bigger companies especially have a strategy in place for talent management, talent development, and employer branding. So because everyone is fighting and competing for the same talent. Everyone wants the best. And then they really need to work a lot on how they brand themselves as an employer. And so there's lots of, just companies, bureaus, consultancy companies helping big companies to do this branding. We do a little bit on that, especially on LinkedIn. But it's become very, very important today to have a good employer brand. So immediately when someone is when you and it's a sort of a different thing. If you build your personal brand, you want to attract the right clients or whatever. But when you build an employer brand, you want to attract the people who possibly could work for you. And you need to stand out as an employer. It has to be very, very clear what is your EVP, the employee value proposition, right? What are we promising you as a company? Come and work for us. This is what you get. And that's why, companies are trying to package themselves very clearly on what is the value for you to come and work with us. So this is a very interesting activity that goes on in the world around this.
Great. Thank you very much for all this information. Where we can find you?
Well, I have a webpage, Charlotte Hagard.com, if you know, or SC for Sweden, but .com for international. I'm also on LinkedIn, so you can find me, Charlotte Hagard. I have two company page. I have a company called Social Branding Group, and I have a company page on LinkedIn.
Okay.
But you can also find me, Charlotte Hagard on LinkedIn. So. And I'd be happy, to connect, and I share a lot of tips and advice, and I do a lot of things. I share a lot, so there's a lot of interesting tips there if you'd like.
Yeah, thank you very much for all this information, all tips you're sharing. So we can stay in contact. And
Absolutely.